Now, the big story in America this week has been to do with the fires. Many of you will have seen the pictures and the videos. None of it makes any sense. It's not designed to. And someone, one of the members, Janet, collected some things for me, and I said I will put it in a piece, some of which I'd already written, and added these pieces in. So these next two pieces, which will take us into a music break, are all about California and the fire, and pondering pieces. So the first thing is to get people to understand is weather management using space-based power systems was filed in December 2010 by a company called Solaris. Now, to give you a brief background, the Chinese were interfering with the weather 300 or 400 years ago. It's not a new technology. All technology is the past, and I mean all. None of it is the future. Now, the description of it is a space-based power system and a method of altering weather using space-borne energy. Now, the space-based power system maintains proper position and alignment of system components without using connecting structures. In other words, it's in a geostationary orbit, so it's not connected to the ground. Power system elements are launched into orbit, and the free-floating power system elements are maintained in proper system alignment. In other words, in geostationary orbit. Energy from the space-based element is applied to a weather system, such as a hurricane, and the later weather element to weaken or dissipate the weather element. So they do have the ability to wipe a hurricane out. Now, the weather element can be altered by changing the temperature of a section of it, which can also change the airflows and the direction of the storm. I can hear a lot of you going, yes indeed. In 2011, the same people in an email stated that they are the first to propose solar generator based in space that beam down RF waves to a receptor site and convert it into DC current. Now, initially the receptor site was the Mojave Desert, but it was moved to Sebastopol, which is located in the wine region of Sonoma County, California. Seeing the picture now? You'll see more. Which is exactly the same area where two consecutive ridges of low pressure was located in the past 2 weeks. What are the chances? In the next week, starting Saturday, a low pressure will sit in the same place for a number of days. It will move to the east, and another low pressure, this is 4 on the trot now, will situate itself directly opposite Sebastopol. Nature doesn't work that way. In 2016, PG&E announced their decision to purchase 200 megawatts of energy from a space-based platform, and that company is Solaris. PG&E is ran by the Rothschilds. Go figure. The Rothschilds are also the owners of many wine fields dotted around California. Conveniently, none of theirs have burned in any fire, but quite a few other wineries burned in earlier fires. Isn't it funny how life throws up these little quirks and how easily people brush over them as a coincidence? Well, actually, it's not funny, given hundreds of people have died, tens of thousands have lost their homes and businesses, and there are over 1,000 people missing. It's just not funny. Previous fires burned many of the new start-up business pot fields, marijuana, putting those new businesses out of business. In comes Monsanto / Bayer, and Bayer is a Rothschild name also, as is Bauer, and apparently they're going to take over the whole of the North American marijuana industry. Hence the reason for supply issues that are running at record lows in Canada currently. They're setting it up. They're stalling the current businesses for takeover, and they'll run the whole industry. I did tell you all the pot legalisation thing was another cabal-oriented plan, which too many yet again have fallen for it. We need to get wise to it. The pattern always repeats. So because their programmes to eliminate people failed, it is clear now they have a new way of disrupting things, weather wars. They are able to create high and low ridges of pressure, and this method steers it. Now, like I said, California had a low stationed just north of San Francisco off the coast that moved out, and another one went exactly the same position, stuck there a few days and moved east. But that's all a coincidence, right? The outcome of those two low ridges of pressure, it created by complete accident, according to the portal people, more wind and less rain. All whilst the portal people named fires raged. Same time. But it's just a coincidence, isn't it? But here's where I have a problem. Because I apply common sense, some logical thinking, and something oblivious to too many people these days, critical thinking. Many of you will have seen the pictures and the videos across the internet, but I struggle to see how an ordinary brush fire, their words, not mine, incinerates brick or breeze block to complete dust, or how fires that have the ability in Santa Ana winds that were gusting between 30 and 70 miles an hour, their words, not mine, they being the portal people. So we have a raging fires being blown by gale force winds, and yet fires can burn in an open field in a complete straight line, and then can go on and carve through a house, in windy conditions, mind, and completely cut that house in half with no evidence of burning on the part of the house left standing, no fire marks on the roof shingles, nothing. But don't mind me, I'm just a conspiracy theorist, or so they say. But let's look again at some of more of their evidence, not my evidence, theirs. Ordinary house bricks, they say, will decompose at 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. Fine. The temperatures for making and firing bricks in a kiln is 900 to 1200 Fahrenheit. So if you fire bricks in a kiln at 1200 Fahrenheit, how can they decompose at the same temperature? So those two figures don't make any sense for the start. But let's ignore those silly little discrepancies, shall we? The next figures. Grass burns at 518 degrees Fahrenheit. Trees burn at 572 degrees Fahrenheit. Both were bone dry because of the prevailing conditions. So if they didn't go on fire, which neither did for most of it, the grass and the trees, it means the temperatures in the fire didn't reach 518 Fahrenheit, would it not? The next figures given to us is the wildfires were burning at 1472 Fahrenheit, which would account for the brick issue temperature disintegration. But please explain how 1472 Fahrenheit does not burn grass at 518 Fahrenheit or trees at 572 Fahrenheit burning point. Given we have seen the evidence of melted car windscreens, which require temperatures of around 1400 and 1800, and yet it's not enough to burn grass and trees, which require the least temperatures to burn. Does this really make any sense whatsoever? Car windscreens melt at 2400 Fahrenheit. So how does a 1472 Fahrenheit fire melt glass? How does a 1472 Fahrenheit not burn grass, which burns at 518, or trees at 572? This is what's going on, folks. Here is a song that explains straight line fires that burn at odd temperatures. It's called Fire Dance. And the second song reflects this town that was razed to the ground, literally, but lies conveniently on top of a gold strata. That place is paradise, which just happens to be alongside where the ridge of low pressure was, and almost in geographic alignment to Sebastopol, where the Rothschilds PG&E and solar-based Technip is based. Oh my, and we're just conspiracy theorists.